Welcome back. Today we're diving into something bigger than crypto as money. Crypto as identity. What if your wallet could represent who you are online? I'm excited to introduce William, a seasoned investor in Bitcoin, Litecoin, and emerging projects like MemeLinked. He's been closely following this space, and what's coming next could change how we connect and interact online. William, welcome. Let's get into it.
Yeah, that's the hook that caught my attention too. Early stage matters. Not because early automatically means better, let's not do fantasy math on the radio, but because early is where people actually have time to look, think, and decide before broader mainstream attention maybe starts rolling in.
Exactly. And I love projects that at least try to lower the intimidation factor. Crypto can get weird fast. Wallets, bridges, gas, jargon. People tune out. MemeLinked is being framed as something more approachable, more social, more built around regular users getting involved before the giant spotlight swings over.
And that's a real distinction. I've spent years looking for things before the crowd, because once everyone is screaming about a token, the easy discovery phase is usually gone. I'm not saying this is some magic ticket. I mean, nobody serious should say that. But I am saying early-stage projects often attract attention precisely because the entry point, mentally and financially, can feel more open.
Right, and let's hit the big emotional headline without overselling it. The pitch here is that even small early positions can potentially have outsized upside if a network grows. Potentially. That's the word. You don't need to come in like some action movie trader kicking down the door with a gigantic bag. For a lot of listeners, the appeal is, hey, maybe I can start small, learn the ecosystem, and be there before it gets noisy.
I like that framing. Small, deliberate, early. Not reckless, not blind. Just early enough that you're not the last person hearing about it at a barbecue from your cousin who suddenly discovered crypto 3 days ago and now thinks he's a macro strategist.
Every family has one. But seriously, there's something energizing about projects that invite people in at the ground floor. MemeLinked is being talked about as a chance to join while it's still in that formative stage, when community identity is still being built and the direction still feels fresh.
And listeners should hear the subtext. If you're curious about emerging crypto without starting from the oldest, most crowded names, MK is being positioned as an early opportunity worth exploring, not blindly chasing, exploring.
That's it. Look at it, understand it, see whether the story makes sense to you. Because sometimes the biggest attraction in crypto isn't just price talk. It's being early to an idea that wants to reach regular people before the mainstream machine even notices it exists.
Now here's where it gets more interesting to me. MemeLinked isn't just being talked about like another random token floating around the market. The stated ambition points towards something bigger, a blockchain-powered platform with social network goals. And that changes the conversation.
Yes, this is the part that gives it that late night, wait, hold on, say that again, energy. Because if the vision is social as much as financial, you're not just looking at an asset story, you're looking at a community story. MemeLinked is aiming at this idea of mixing crypto incentives with a social experience people can actually participate in.
I always tell people, utility narratives matter, and social utility is huge if it gets traction. The comparison being floated is bold, kind of a challenger mindset next to platforms like X, Twitter, and Facebook. Now, obviously, those are giant established networks. So let's keep our feet on the ground. But as a stated vision, it tells you where MemeLinked wants to play. In the world of attention, interaction, and community.
Community-driven is the key phrase there. Not just come buy a coin, but come join a network. That's a very different emotional pitch. People understand social platforms. They understand sharing, posting, inviting friends, watching communities grow. So when a crypto project says, "We're building with social network ambitions," suddenly it feels less abstract.
And accessibility becomes really important. If participation is simple, if the message is easy to grasp, If users don't feel like they need a PhD in blockchain architecture just to show up, that's where networks can start spreading. I might be wrong on the exact phrasing they use, but the broader idea is straightforward. Reduce friction, encourage involvement, and let growth come through people.
That's a good way to put it. Friction kills momentum. Simplicity builds it. The more approachable a platform feels, the more likely everyday users are to test it, talk about it, and maybe stick around. And with something like MemeLinked, the appeal is that you can imagine a network effect. One person joins, then another, and suddenly you're not just talking about a token, you're talking about an ecosystem with social energy.
Exactly. And network growth is the dream scenario for any social platform. Not guaranteed, not automatic, but central to the whole thesis. A social system gets more interesting when more people are there. That's true for every major platform we've ever seen. MemeLinked appears to be leaning into that same logic, just with a blockchain-powered structure and crypto incentives tied into the experience.
And that's why some listeners will perk up right here. Because they're not just asking, what is MK? They're asking, what could this become if the network grows? That's the exciting part. It's simple enough to get, social enough to share, and ambitious enough to make people curious. In crypto, curiosity plus community can be a powerful combination.
And if you're the kind of person who likes spotting early movements before they become everyday conversation, a project with social ambitions is at least worth paying attention to. The story isn't only in the token, it's in the possibility of people gathering around it.
And now, my friends, we get to the engine room. The part that sounds like it was built for a high-energy radio ad. Because honestly, it kind of was. MemeLinked includes a referral program, and the number grabbing attention is 4%. 4%. Clean, simple, memorable.
Yeah, and this is where the project tries to turn community growth into something active instead of passive. The basic idea is not just join, but share. If people are already excited about a platform with social network ambitions, a referral structure gives them a reason to spread the word while helping the network expand.
That's the infomercial heartbeat right there. You're not only checking out an early-stage crypto project, you're potentially stepping into a model where telling other people about it could come with a 4% referral reward. Again, we're keeping this sensible. People should always verify details for themselves and never assume outcomes. But as a concept, that's sticky. That's the kind of thing people remember.
And it fits the social thesis we were just talking about. If the stated vision involves community and network growth, then referrals aren't some random add-on. They become part of the growth logic. Share the platform. Bring in people who are curious. Help the network widen. And there may be a reward mechanism tied to that activity.
I love that because it gives participation layers. Maybe you're the listener who wants to explore MK early. Maybe you're the listener who likes telling friends about new projects before they hit the group chat 2 months later. Maybe you're both. Either way, the 4% referral angle says, hey, your enthusiasm can do more than sit there.
But let me add my boring analyst caution for half a second. Just half a second. Referral incentives are not a substitute for doing your homework. They're a feature, not the whole thesis. The bigger picture is still the early-stage nature of the project and the social network ambition behind it.
Totally fair. And honestly, that makes the pitch stronger, not weaker. Because if you're looking at MemeLinked, you shouldn't only be asking, can I share this? You should also be asking, do I understand why this might grow? Do I see the appeal? Does this fit how I participate in crypto? If the answer is yes, then the referral side becomes a turbo boost on top.
So here's the late-night call to action. If MK sounds like your style, early, community-focused, socially ambitious, then go explore it. Read up. See what MemeLinked is trying to build. Consider what getting involved early could mean for you, especially if you like projects that want to grow through people, not just hype cycles.
And if you do like what you see, don't just watch from the sidelines while everybody else figures it out first. Take a look at MK. Think about the 4% referral opportunity. and decide whether you want to be part of a project aiming to blend crypto with social momentum from the ground floor. Early attention can matter. Early community can matter. Early action, careful, informed action, can matter too.
That's a good place to leave it.
Absolutely. More deep dives coming soon. William, always a pleasure.
Likewise, Rebecca. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Go explore, stay sharp, and we'll catch you next time. Bye, William.
Bye, Rebecca.